Without wasting any time, episode 9 starts showing us that there is a storm going on and walkers are ascending to heaven, and nothing else that drives the story this episode really happens. Victor Strand becomes an alcoholic.
I've been rotating the collection. It's a 61 Latour. Much better than a 66. The wine cellar is quite extensive.
Luciana listens to music and almost dies.
You got a problem, bitch? Throw your hands up. It's you against me. This shit is one-on-one. If you didn't notice, bitch, I don't give a fuck. I'll punch you in the face, cause you're just such a cunt.
And Alicia takes out her Age on the Dead. I will now quickly move on to episode 10. So episode 10 begins with Alicia seeking shelter from the storm. She then has to clear the house out of a family of 4 walkers, which I think is supposed to symbolize Alicia, Madison, Nick and Travis. This is backed up when Alicia takes down the picture of the family as she's distraught over what happened. Shortly after, she finds Charlie upstairs, then attempts to leave and gets absolutely wrecked. Alicia wakes up and realizes that Charlie brought her back inside and proceeds to roast the ever-living shit out of her.
You may be a kid, Charlie, but you know what you did. And that makes you garbage. It makes you a waste of a person. Worse than something stumbling around out there, tearing into people. I hope you live to a ripe old age. So you have to remember what you did, who you are, and how you can never, ever make up for it.
The house eventually gets flooded, and Charlie asks Alicia to kill her. However, Alicia cannot bring herself to kill Charlie. The two then escape the house, and Alicia then promises to take Charlie to the beach as she's never been. She gets Charlie to imagine what it's like, then the two drive to where Strand and Luciana were in the last episode, but they are both gone. The episode then ends with the two of them walking off, and I think that this is honestly the only good episode of the season. Yeah, I know people hate Charlie, but people never stop to think that Charlie's parents died, and she was groomed into becoming a spy for the Vultures by Mel and Ennis, and when Nick killed Ennis, he was technically killing one of Charlie's parental figures, and we see that when she shot Nick, she instantly regretted it. But anyway, this has gone on for far enough. On to episode 11. So episode 11 starts with Morgan taking shelter from the storm in the back of a truck. Later, he wakes up and realizes someone drove him to Mississippi. He enters a building and hears someone talking over the radio. We then get quite possibly the most uncalled for scene in the entire Walking Dead franchise. Morgan taking a shit, and I'm sorry, but what the hell is this dialogue?
All my life, people like you been using stalls made for people like me. I never asked the question, but I'm gonna ask it now. Why? I'm gonna be honest. It always seemed like a little apartment. It is. Especially when it has a sink. I guess everybody likes it when it feels a little homey.
Anyway, Morgan meets Sarah and Wendell, Sarah whom I will be referring to as Trucker Lady, because that's pretty much her entire character. Later Morgan finds and rescues Jim, whose entire character can be summed up with this word:
beer.
Morgan and Jim then head back to the truckers, and are kidnapped. Jim then proceeds to talk to Morgan for what felt like approximately 10,000 fucking years.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Beer, 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 beer.
Morgan then gets stuck on a car surrounded by walkers, and Trucker Lady, Wendell and Jim just decide to leave him, and Morgan sounds like he's about to cry.
Hey! Hey!
It cuts to nighttime, and Morgan is still sitting on top of the car. He then jumps off and escapes, which I don't understand how that took him literal hours to do. Anyway, Morgan regroups with the people that left him for dead. Then our second and final villain of the season shows up, Martha, who I'll be referring to as Dirty Woman, and oh god, is she even worse than Mel. Episode 12 begins with Althea and June after the storm hit. Morgan then leaves Trucker Lady and the rest in an attempt to radio out to some people who may need help. Althea and June then spot Althea's MRAP, which has been hijacked. Althea attempts to tail it, but ends up almost crashing. Morgan then finds Dirty Woman on the side of the road and stops to gaze at her thick ass. And I have no clue how Morgan doesn't perceive this as a threat.
You're right. Things are tough out here. You should be careful.
June finds Althea's MRAP abandoned and gets held at gunpoint. She then manages to overpower the man and Althea fucking dies. Later, Althea and June hear Morgan on the radio and reunite with him. Dirty Woman then kills the man who attacked June.
Quinn, do you copy?
I'll pop a Glock in your mouth and make a brain slushy.
Dirty Woman then picks up the radio and tells the group the random survivor June met is not weak anymore, and this is her entire gimmick. She kills people with a walker, draws on their face with a pen, then sets the previous walker free, as she thinks she's making them strong.
You hear that? He's not weak anymore.
No, they're fucking dead. Anyway, Strand and John are trapped on an island, and John is building a raft to get off the island. Luciana then finds a dying old man, and we cut back to Strand and John, where John is almost attacked by a gator.
You think she'd be full by now? Well, looks like you and I are still roomies.
Strand and John then find a car, which John wants to use to make a new raft. However, Strand almost dies for a drink, but survives because he's Victor Strand, I guess. Luciana shortly after hears Morgan's voice on the radio and reunites with the group. Then Dirty Woman does a drive by shooting on the group.
I told you. I'm making you strong. You lose people. You lose yourself.
Get down. Everybody get down!
Episode 14 begins with Dirty Woman calling out for help for her dying husband, but no one stops to help. Dirty Woman's husband then dies, and she goes insane. We then get a montage of her killing people.
We got a #1 victory royale. Yeah, Fortnite, we bout to get down. 10 kills on the board right now. Just wiped out Tomato Town. My friend has gone down. I revived him, now we're heading southbound. Now we're in the Pleasant Park streets. Look at the map, go to the...
Back in the present, Luciana, Morgan, Althea and June get up after being gunned down by Dirty Woman. June then notices the truck is gonna blow, and they all get out. Then Althea and June prove how useless they are.
Al, wait!
Wendell shotguns Dirty Woman, and the truck blows up. Dirty Woman escapes and walkers arrive, making the group leave the area. The group then take refuge from the herd inside a hospital, and Jim blames Morgan for what happened. I'm sorry, but he literally saved your life, you little shit. Then you repaid him on the same day by leaving him to die. I'll have Trucker Lady say what's on everyone's minds.
Voice that you knew!
Gonna have to ask you to shut your damn flap hole.
Althea gets separated from the group, and the rest of the group are forced to take an elevator to get to the roof away from the walkers. Then June finds out Jim got bit. Alicia and Charlie find Strand and John after, and that takes us into episode 15. Dirty Woman attacks Alicia and Charlie, then fucking dies. Alicia then finds Althea's MRAP and drives it back to rescue Strand and John. The group are now all back together and they work together to save Morgan. Jim commits end life, and at last time on episode 16, the final episode of this train wreck of a season, Althea encounters Dirty Woman, and instead of killing her, Althea just stands there, and Dirty Woman knocks her out. The group then enter the building Morgan took a shit in during episode 11, and Morgan leaves to arrest Dirty Woman. June then radios Morgan telling him they're all sick. Then Dirty Woman makes Morgan crash the car. Dirty Woman tells Morgan she poisoned the group with antifreeze. And Morgan gets angry. Morgan comes back with beer as it contains ethanol which can save the group. Morgan later returns to where he left Dirty Woman to find out she pulled a Meryl, and Morgan puts down the zombified Dirty Woman. Bring this awful season to a close. AMC thought bringing Morgan over and soft rebooting the entire show would gain more viewership, except the exact opposite happened over time, and AMC basically fucked themselves over. What was once a story about the Clark family turned into the Morgan and Friends show. This season is what pretty much killed fear for anyone who watched up to season 3, and it gets even worse from here. Anyway, that's all. I'm so glad to finally be off this season.